Hi, it's Mike, and thanks for coming back to my series of CSS videos. Today we're going to look at font types and how to add different styles to our fonts on our web applications. So the objectives of this one is to understand different font types, understand there are Websafe fonts out there and which ones they are, adding font families to our CSS to make our web applications look pretty, and then I'm going to show you how to add Google fonts to your application too. So feet or no feet, that's the big question. Okay, so there's two types of font. There's sans serif, sans is without feet, and there's serif, and that's the fonts with feet. What do I mean? Well, if you look at the red circle on the bottom F letter, it's got feet, and so on, and the top one hasn't. There's a real difference between the two, as far as I'm concerned, for web applications, is that fonts with feet are more difficult to read on screen, full stop. So whenever you're creating a web application, and whenever I'm doing it, I really do recommend sans serif fonts. And if you look at websites such as Apple, they use sans serif. The BBC, they use sans serif. And many other sort of websites out there. So browse around at the big names, and the majority use sans serif. The only ones that I've found using serif are generally newspapers, because that's the font they use when they print. But the majority of web users find sans serif easier to read on screen. So what are web-safe fonts? Well, consider using Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. If you go to fonts, then you will see a different list in Microsoft versus the list in Apple. There will be some that are exactly the same, such as Arial, Verdana, Tahoma, Helvetica. But in general, all the other ones are different. So when you consider all the different types of devices that are out there, all the different types of browser, all the different types of screen readers, and so on, they'll all have their own embedded fonts and so on. But the ones that are the same throughout the browsers, throughout the screen readers, and so on, and pardon me, the sans serif ones, i.e. the ones without feet, are named on the screen. Helvetica, Arial, sans serif, Verdana, Tahoma, sans serif, Trebuchet, MS, Geneva, and so on. So you can absolutely guarantee that if you use these fonts, then you're good to go on your web application across all the devices. How we add font families. I've got some code at the bottom, body, curly brackets, end curly brackets, and between there it's font-family, and then I've got XYZ. Okay, so we don't write XYZ. What we do is write up to 3. Well, you can go more actually, but in order. You can write Helvetica, comma, Arial, comma, then the third one, comma, the fourth one, etc. So what's actually going on here is that the CSS effectively nudges the browser into saying, look, in this order, if you have these in your library, in your internal library, make the first one out, sort of my preference in this instance, Helvetica first. If you haven't got Helvetica, if you don't support it, put Arial on the screen, and if you don't support that, put sans serif on the screen. So you can just put one. I would recommend putting another one, and generally I use 3. And I do like Helvetica and Arial and sans serif, but I've used Verdana as well, and so on. But it's your call. Whatever font you want for your web application, then go for it. Okay, let's do some coding and see how we get on. Okay, as usual, on the left-hand side, I've got my Text Wrangler text editor open with some code there. And on the right-hand side, I've got my Google Chrome browser on, showing a heading called Font Family, which we can see in our code. Then I've got 3 paragraphs and 2 unordered list items, as we've discovered to write during my HTML videos. So you might want to pause the video and type out your code to follow me through. The CSS is going to be really straightforward. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to declare a font family for the whole web application. So I'm going to type HTML, which you'll remember is right at the top of our code, defining the whole page. So HTML, then font-family, colon, then semicolon, and in between the two, I'm going to write Helvetica. Okay, and I'm going to save, and I'm going to count down from 3 and refresh the page. So 3, 2, 1, go, and you can see the browser. The font has changed from the default of Times New Roman, or one with feet at least, to Helvetica. I'm going to type another one now. I'm going to go Garamond, only because that's a font that's just come to my mind. So Garamond, font family, Garamond. I'm going to hit save, and 2, 3, go, and I've updated. Refresh the page, and now I've got Garamond. Okay, so font family Arial. Hit save. 3, 2, 1, go, and we've changed to Arial. So that's pretty cool. Now, what I'm going to do is get rid of HTML in my code within the CSS, and I'm just going to select the H2. So H2, and come down, and in between H2 I'm going to type in font family, yeah, and let's go Arial. So all I'm doing is selecting the H2, not the rest. Okay, so the rest should revert back to Times New Roman or whatever the default is. I'm going to refresh the page in 3, 2, 1 now. And you can see that the font family in the heading is Arial, but all the rest has gone back to something else. Right. So now what you can do, you can select all the paragraph tags. Okay, with P for paragraph, curly brackets, font family, font-family, and in this instance, I'm going to go for Tahoma and a backup of Helvetica. Okay, so this is selecting just the paragraphs. So what I'm expecting is these 3 to change. So I've saved my file, 3, 2, 1, change. And now you can see that 3 paragraphs have changed to a different font. This one is called Tahoma, and with Helvetica as a backup. So I'm going to delete Tahoma, and let's see what Helvetica looks like. That looks like that. So that's nice as well. Back to Tahoma. Right. Okay. And the last one is list items. Now there is an awesome thing on the web called Google Fonts. Okay, so we've learned how to do it manually, like so, using the Websafe fonts. I'm going to go over to Google Fonts now. I'll just type in Google Fonts into Google, and funnily enough, there it is at the top of the web page. Now here in Google Fonts, there's hundreds and hundreds of fonts to choose from. Okay, and let's give one a whirl. Let's go for this big one in the middle, the red flare. It's called Sigma 1, and all you have to do here is click the little cross, top right hand corner, and you see this little pop-up up here, which I've clicked, and now it's asking me to do a couple of things. So I'm going to copy the code that you can see highlighted in blue. So I've copied that, Control or Command C, and I'm going to put it below my style sheet, and here it is. There's a link. So I've done a straight copy. I've done nothing else with it. It must be within the head section of your code and outside the style. Okay, so this is linking to Google APIs, Google Fonts. And now, just below here on Google Fonts, you add font family that is now highlighted in blue. Copy that, and what I'm going to do is go for, I just want to get rid of Google Fonts now. Okay, so you can see the browser on the right now. So I'm going to go for list items, so li, curly brackets, and close curly brackets. Oops, there's a bit of space there. And now I'm going to paste in from Google Fonts, font family, and it says Sigma 1 cursive. Okay, so I'm going to hit save, and 3, 2, 1, refresh. Wow, and there it is. There's the font that we found on Google Fonts. So you can see you've got so much power within CSS to do whatever you like on your web application. Shall we do one more from Google Fonts? Oh, I just love it. So, or did I close it down? No, it's here. This is good. Right. One I really do like is called Railway, with a railway with an E, and here we are. I'm going to click that little red cross. I'm going to bring this little box up. So now I've chosen two, but you can see that it's added both of these codes. So I'm going to copy that, come over to my CSS. I'm going to get rid of the original one and paste in, and you can see here it's got Railway and Sigma. Okay, so that's there. And now what I can do is bring down font family, Control C. I'm going to copy it into, let's go for the heading, and instead of Arial, I've gone for Railway. So I've hit save, come over to my application in 3, 2, 1, bang, and you can see that font family has now, well, the heading font family has now got the font family called Railway. And that's it. So let's go back to the learning objectives and see how we've done. So the objectives were to understand a bit about font types. We discussed slightly Websafe fonts, and then how to add font family to our CSS, and also how to add Google Fonts to your web applications. So just to recap, font types, you've got with feet or without feet. In my humble opinion, without feet are good for reading on screens. Websafe fonts, these are such as Verdana, Arial, Tahoma, Trebuchet. These are within all browsers, all screen readers, and so on and so forth. Okay, if you want something wacky, then by all means go to Google Fonts and use those. But please put, one of the Websafe fonts as a backup, just in case the first one doesn't work on any device. So we've looked at adding font family to our CSS, effectively font hyphen family, and then you put whichever font you want. I would recommend 3, but you can have 1 and hope for the best. Okay, so that's it from me. Thanks ever so much for watching this quick video. Please subscribe or like or all the other business on the channel. That would be the bee's knees. Thank you so much. See you soon.